The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to the More Clients from Your Law Firm website webinar. Just want to check that you can hear me and see the screen. So if you can, if one of you could raise your hand to confirm that you can hear me and you can see my ugly mug in front of you, then I'll know we are good to go. On the GoToMeeting taskbar, the flower icon, there should be a hand for you to raise. If you can do that, then I will crack on. Anybody, somebody, please let me know if you can hear me. Thank you, Michelle. Much appreciated. Great stuff. Okay, let me crack on. Firstly, there's a questions box. If you have any questions, feel free to just fire away and I will come to them at an appropriate time. Don't wait till the end. Don't worry about answering any question. I'm sure if you're thinking it, someone else is too. So please fire away. I'm here to help you. So I'd love to get your questions. I'll crack through the presentation and you can follow up with any questions. I'll send you an email and if anything comes up, please don't hesitate to contact me. What I'll do afterwards is send you a link to the recording once it's completed and some resources. And again, you'll have the opportunity to answer more questions. So let's crack on. So what is the purpose of today? And what are we going to go through? We're going to go through how we get more inquiries from your website, how you get more clients from the inquiries that already come to you, and how you can get more of the above. I'm going to give you some links to some tools, talk about some different bits and pieces that will make your life easier. The most important thing for you is that everything I share with you is based on spending my own money promoting legal services online, finding out what works and what doesn't, sharing the results with my clients, constantly testing and improving, and spent over $250,000 doing that. And I manage an online spend of around 1.6 to 2 million a year for my clients. That's all law firms, all non-competing law firms, I should hasten to add. So everything I share with you is based on reality, what I know works, because I've tested it, tried and tested it. So it's not fluff or huff. It's genuine, it's proven, it's not something that a web designer made up, which is what most of them do, and we'll come on to that as we go through the process. So why is this so important? So you have 10,414 competitors. I'm sure that number is rising all of the time, particularly more challenging now that there's so many consultants list and models popping up, and each of them has 20 or 30 consultants, and each one of them is your competitor because they're looking for the same clients that you're looking for. So you've got a lot of competition. So you absolutely have to make sure that you do the best of everything you've already got. And what I'm sharing you today is even if you were to think that you can't get clients from your website, which is completely wrong. I've got clients for every conceivable legal service from websites, even business to business, even niche business to business. The first thing people do when they hear your name is to check you out. If your web presence isn't up to standard, that's often as far as they'll go. So your web presence is vital, not just at getting clients, but converting those that are recommended to you. And one of the biggest mistakes that most people make on their website is failing to put themselves in the position of the client at the time that they arrive at your website. I use an example. Someone I used to work with would often go off to court, hearing in front of the judge, and come back, spend 10 minutes telling me what a great job they'd done, how brilliant they were, how the judge thought they were a genius. At the end of that, they'd say, "That's enough about me, Nick. What do you think of me?" Give me my chance to say how brilliant I thought they were. So solicitors can make this mistake of talking far too much about them, falling in what I call a Moody Tom trap. It has to be about your client. So the first thing, an overriding principle, is make sure that every page you are thinking about your client's mindset, their fear, their concerns at the exact moment in time that they land on your website. If you do that, you'll immediately improve the volume of inquiries you get from your website. If it just says, "We were formed in 1832, we've been here, we do this," it's not going to work so well. It's worth changing it. So how can you get more inquiries? Well, one of the first things, the most simple and obvious things to do, is make sure you tell people what you do. And I used to use real examples, but apparently that's not. Some of the firms don't like that, so I've anonymized it. But I guarantee this, as I said to you, this is based on what I have seen. So if someone is looking for a solicitor, what is the first thing they want to see when they land on a firm's site after the logo is the term solicitor. And what most solicitors don't do is they don't have that word there, or a lot of solicitors don't do. But it's a badge of honor. It should be proudly displayed, and it should be proudly displayed beneath your logo, as was shown you on the visual there. Now that template is something I share in my book, The Law Firm Growth Formula, and it's also something I share with my Marketing for Solicitors members because it's based on what I know works best when it comes to generating inquiries from a website. So make sure, first thing, that you've got the badge Solicitors beneath your logo. It is important. Secondly, this is another huge failing and a huge opportunity, is you've got to tell me exactly what you want me to do. If I arrive at your website, I like what you say, I think you are an expert, and I'll come on to how you prove you're an expert shortly. I do all of this, and then I get to the bottom of the page. If there's nothing there, if there's no call to action after all this content, then I do not do anything. I'm too lazy, because everyone is too time starved, to work out that I have to go to your contact page. I won't do that. I expect you to make it easy. So I'll hit the back button. I'll go to the next law firm. I'll see if they make this job easy for me. If they do, they will get my phone call. They may well get my business. And you might think, well, that's not true. You know, people will hunt around. They won't. The average pages on a website that people will look at, a law firm website, bear in mind I manage dozens of websites, is 1.5 to 2. So you don't want to be wasting their time making them go off to a contact page and hunt out your phone number. You've got to spell it out at the bottom of every page. And I've had clients just make this change across their website and instantly generate more inquiries to prove this point. Not a one-off. You know, dozens of times this has happened. So check that you're not making this mistake. Make sure you explain exactly what your clients need to do at the bottom of every page. And the other thing I mentioned, how do you build trust? And this is really important, because people aren't looking for an average solicitor. They're not looking for a Me Too solicitor. They're looking for the solicitor that they believe is best placed to give them the best results for their current legal challenge. So I developed what I called the 2-minute trust builder. I refuse to change the name, even though the average time that someone spends on a law firm website now is about 90 seconds, because, as I said, everyone's time starved and isn't prepared to spend too long doing things. But there's a process that you need to go through. So I land on a page on your website. That page needs to have proof in 2 aspects: depth of expertise and then proof of your expertise. So I've got to believe that you have enough content on each page and within this section that convinces me you are a specialist, you are an expert, not just a Me Too solicitor. So the number of pages in the area service. So if you're a divorce solicitor, if you have 1 page of divorce advice or information, and it lists every potential cohabitation, separation, financial arrangements, just 1 page, I'm not really going to believe that you're an expert. Especially if I then go to a conveyancing section and see 10 pages about remortgaging, leases, lease extension, etc. I'll believe you're a conveyancing expert, but I won't believe you're a family expert. So the amount of pages you have in each section is vital. And don't make the mistakes that so many solicitors make, which is, well, if I have so much content, no one's going to read it. It doesn't matter. That it's simply impossible to get people to pick up the phone and contact you if you do not have enough content. You can never have too much content. And you'll say, well, what if someone isn't interested? They'll skim read, they'll look at the headings, the subheadings on that template I showed you, look at those subheadings, headings at pictures, and they'll go, okay, yeah, they seem to have everything I'm looking for, I'll give them a call. If you don't have it, though, the majority of people won't believe that you have the expertise they're looking for. The next thing, depth of content on each page. It is impossible for Google to send people to your website if you don't have enough content on the page. Google's robots go and read the page. They read every page on your website. If there's 5 or 6 pages on there, they dive straight out and never send you any visitors. So for a start, no one will ever find your website if you don't have enough content. And secondly, for those people, and that's probably 50-50, that like to read a lot of information before they make contact, those people, even if they find your website, won't get in touch because you won't have convinced them that you're experts. And proof of that is I've worked with a firm. They had a fantastic website, lots of content on every page, lots of pages in every section, got thousands of visitors, got hundreds of phone calls every single month. Stopped working with them and saw them a year or so later, and they proudly told me they got rid of their massive website. They just had a simple 5-page website with very few words on each page. And I said, oh, so you stopped getting phone calls from your website then? And they said, well, how do you know that? That if you don't have enough content and don't have enough pages, you simply cannot get more visitors to your website. You won't get inquiries for your services. And all I can say is that the clients that I work with on an ongoing basis now, each of them that followed my advice and add content on a consistent basis to their website, and do it in the right way, and that right way is in the Law Firm Growth Formula book, and it's in Marketing Solicitors, which I'll tell you about later. If they do that consistently, one thing and one thing only happens. They get more visitors to their website pretty much every month, and they get more inquiries for their services. What I teach is a formula because it works, because I've done it for over 14 years outside of the legal world and many years inside of it. And I've refined it, and I promise you it works. So what I'm sharing with you is really important. If you don't have enough content or enough pages of content in each of your legal areas of service, you will not convert, you will not get visitors, and you won't get inquiries for your services. The second part of the 2-minute trust builder, proof of your expertise. That comes in many different ways, shapes and forms, in qualifications, testimonials, or I put or because it should be these days reviews, because that's the terminology people will use. Press coverage, books, articles published, and volumed help. So anything that proves to someone that you can say, we're brilliant, we listen to you, we care about you. But these are things that are external to you saying them, they're proof that that expertise is good. And the way my formula, my template, is that you have those items on the right-hand side, because while the person's reading the content in the middle, scrolling down, having a look, liking what you say, believing that you're an expert because there's so much content, they're also seeing on the right-hand side that you're not just saying you're brilliant, other people are saying you're brilliant, and there's external proof of your brilliance. One key point, if you have got those external memberships or qualifications, for instance, to STEP or a business solicitors network, or the Legal 500, don't make the mistake that nearly every law firm makes, which is to link straight off to that website, because what happens then is you've lost that prospect. Because as soon as they get to the Legal 500 or wherever they go, they can search for solicitors just like you, and they get lost in their search, and they forget to go back to your website. So please don't make that mistake. What I advise my clients to do is link to a separate page on your website, which then explains why membership of the Legal 500 or STEP makes you the right solicitor for this client. So it's a great thing to have, but don't lose that person from your website. The job of your website, there's one job, which is to get people to get in touch with you. It's not to fully sell your service. It's not to give them pricing and details, and I'll come on to that. It is just simply to get them to make contact with you. So don't do anything that distracts from that. And don't even get me started on social media. The only job of social media is to send people back to your website. So when you put new content up, you post a link on social media, and people come back to your website, and from there they get in touch with you. So there's where you put your reviews and proof of expertise. The mobile phone revolution. What is going on? Well, when I started, I was convinced many years ago that yes, websites are important, but there's no way someone would make the informed decision of choosing a solicitor from their mobile phone. I believe that they would need to read a bit more, see more content on the website, but of course, a couple of things have happened. Mobile phones are much better than they used to be, and the ability to read and download content on bigger screens is so much better, and the coverage is better, and there's Wi-Fi and 4G everywhere. So those things mean that people are indeed looking for lawyers on their phones, and as much, I think the average now is probably about 60 or 70% of all searches for solicitors are on mobile devices, which is massive. So if your phone isn't mobile responsive, if your website isn't mobile responsive, that will be costing you, because Google will not send you traffic from mobiles. You can check if it's mobile responsive by simply in your Chrome browser or whichever Internet Explorer or whatever else you use, resizing it. And if as you shrink the size of your web browser, your website keeps changing size to fit, that's responsive. If it stays exactly the same but just gets smaller, it isn't, and it isn't working for you, and it won't work for you. You need to change it to mobile responsive. But the other key thing is, because so many people are on your on mobile devices looking for your services, your phone number, when it appears, must be linked. So you'll see highlighted in bold there. If I clicked on that, it would allow me to dial it. That's what happens on a website that's properly linked. If you go to your website, if A, you don't have your phone number at the bottom of every page, and obviously, as I've explained, you're missing opportunities. But B, if your number is not linked, and when you hover over it, it doesn't say call, then you are again missing huge opportunities, and you need to fix that. In Marketing for Solicitors, I provide the code that does that, but your web developer should be able to do that. So that is crucial. And again, just by changing those phone numbers and having them linked, For my clients, a lot of clients have increased the number of inquiries to their services dramatically. However, that being said, yes, 60-70% of people want to get in touch with you on their mobile, but others are on a desktop and might find it easier to get in touch with you in a different way. The point is you have to give people different ways of getting in touch with you. So as well as having a mobile phone, you should also have a contact form which is separate from your contact page. It's just an inquiry form for your services. Just ask for name, telephone, email, and details of inquiry. So you can link to that at the bottom of every page. And then when you've got that, you make sure that it is easy to get to that inquiry form page. So at the bottom of each page, remember I said we go back to your call to action there. So at the bottom of nothing, where we didn't have a call to action, we'll now have something that says free inquiry. Call us on this number, which will be linked, or complete our free online inquiry. Links to that page, and we'll be in touch with you. That will make a dramatic difference to inquiries. And if you haven't got an inquiry form on your website, I created a piece of software called Your Website Genie, which becomes an instant inquiry form. It's a cross between live chat and the inquiry form, but the thing is, you don't have to turn it on every day. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 or 6 days of the year, and it only costs £20 a month. So I mention that here because if you haven't got an inquiry form, rather than waiting for your developer to do it, you can have Genie up and running within a few hours, or within a few minutes. And it does make a difference. Some people have found that they get 300% more inquiries by adding the Genie. And if you think of the return on investment for £20 a month, if you currently get 10 inquiries and this puts it up to 40 inquiries and gets you another 3 or 4 clients, obviously it's very easily funding itself. If you do have an inquiry form, make sure that it's very easily accessible. So I use Amazon there because you'll notice whenever you're on the Amazon site, it will have a buy now button next to each product in about this position on the page. And if you go back here, item number 6 is your buy now button, your Amazon button, your inquiry. So either a box that says make free inquiry or a form that says complete few details, we'll be in touch. That's where that goes, because that again makes it easy for someone to get in touch with you. But you also have it on a separate page because some people, and I've tested this, as I say, I test everything, some people still like to get to the bottom of the page, click the link and fill in a form on a separate form page. You just got to test this stuff to find what works. There it is on a site that I used to be involved with. Bottom of every page, even though it was on the page, this form got clicked and completed more than the one on the right hand side that was on the page every time. So as I say, you only find this stuff out by testing it. Luckily, I like that thing. Next thing, pricing. And so many solicitors make this mistake, which is great for my clients, not so great for them. They put their prices all over their website. And that's great for my clients because it means that anyone goes to their website, they see the price, they don't need to get in touch because they know what they're charging. They then go to my client's site who doesn't put the price on but explains that all inquiries are free. They phone my client, and my client does a great job of convincing them they're the best firm, and they don't even go back to the other firm, even if they're more expensive. So all that pricing does is allows you to be used as a price comparison website, which nobody wins out of. So I strongly advise you against that. Don't have your prices all over your website. More clients from the inquiries coming to you. Well, you're already getting inquiries now, and what I always say to my clients is fix the leaking bucket before you put more water into it, because it makes everything more efficient. And where there's big leaks is people, I mentioned earlier, the one point of your website is to get people on the telephone with you. If your website does its job well, then you'll get people on the phone, and from there you convert them into a client. The biggest problem here is that most firms have a really inadequate telephone answering system, either because it goes to one receptionist who normally is dealing with clients in the office, or is dealing with queries from fee earners, solicitors, other staff. She doesn't answer the phone, he or she doesn't answer the phone, it goes on a ring around the office. The other staff are too busy doing their work, they don't want to answer the phone either. So my strong advice, and this particularly so if you're a sole practitioner, is that you outsource the call handling to a call center that will take the calls, fill in an inquiry form on your website, which instantly appears in front of you. They live transfer the call to you. If you're available, if not, you get the message and they get told you'll phone them back within an hour or so. The difference with the call center doing it is that they're trained to answer the phone quickly. They can report on how quickly they answer it. They're interested in answering the phone quickly, whereas my experience of mystery shopping law firms is absolutely horrendous. Even if the phone is answered, there's a presumption that I'm an existing client, so I must give a phone number, I must give a reference number. It's not a process which is good, and I guarantee 90% of firms out there, it's costing them significant revenue every month and every year. So my advice is you get a separate telephone number from a call center. That number goes on your website, that gets redirected to the call center, and you get more inquiries through already without spending money, except for a small amount with the call center and the phone number. It works. If you need a recommendation, let me know. Another way of getting more inquiries from your existing clients is to follow up more. So don't leave them sitting on the end of a platform in the middle of the sea waiting for you to get in touch with them, thinking, I'd love to have gone ahead with that solicitor. They seem so nice, they seem perfect, but they just didn't bother sending me anything. Didn't hear from them after the phone call. You've got to follow up, and in my view, follow up means until you are told, no, I don't want to instruct you, you keep on calling. And you don't leave voicemails, you don't stalk in that way. You just keep calling, say, oh, I'm glad I've got you. Have you got any questions? Would you like to go ahead? That's it. That can dramatically increase your profits. More inquiries and more clients. One of the main things here is your hourly rate should be somewhere around there or more. Most things can be done for you for a lot less than your hourly rate. So in my experience, both of running my own business, but also working with law firms as they grow, you need to outsource all aspects of your marketing as much as possible before you can actually afford to do so, because that is what drives growth. Just as you're at the point where you think, well, maybe nearly, that's the time to do it, because your time is better spent looking after the clients. If you're in the good position of having staff beneath you, your time is actually best spent running the numbers every month, making sure you had more inquiries this month from last month, making sure you turn more of those inquiries into new clients this month than you did last month, and managing your marketing team to make sure that they're hitting their key performance indicators. If you do that, then your firm grows much more quickly. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions at this point? Please do use the questions box if you do. If anything I've said struck a chord, if anything's made you think, oh, crikey, I'm not doing that, then pop a question in, or even just acknowledge that something's touched a nerve and sounds good. It's great to get some feedback and know that something's working over there. I'll say there's questions at the end if you want. If you are looking at changing your website design process, first talk to me. I offer a website service, but I don't hard sell it. It's only right for certain people. But first, the most important thing is most web companies will charge a fortune and often not give you a website that's fit for purpose. I showed you a basic formula, and I go into much more detail in my book, the Law Firm Growth Formula, and in the Side Marketing for Solicitors, showing you exactly how to get the right website for your law firm. But if you follow this process on the screen, you will end up at least getting a better price from web companies, because you'll map out exactly what you need and get a price, and then follow this process. So find companies that have done that, talk to clients that have done a website design, prepare a detailed website brief. And this brief tells them every single page you're going to need, what the color scheme is, what you want, so that they give you a fixed price which won't change, because most web companies, they up the price because you suddenly say, oh, I want this and I want this. If you map out the brief at the beginning, you get that fixed price quote. The key thing then is you keep your current website live, and when you get the new design agreed, you put the old content across, then you work on improving the content, because it's always the content that slows the whole process down. My strong advice is that you use WordPress, because there's thousands of developers out there that can help you. So if your current firm disappears, you're not tied to them. And it also means that they haven't got such a hold on you. Lots of companies out there tie you to their own content management system. All that does is mean that you can't ever leave. And when you do leave, you start the whole process again. So strong recommendation that you follow that as a design process. So I've given you a lot in a short period of time, which is why I always give a replay. But if you follow what I've given you today, if you make the changes to your website to generate more inquiries, if you improve your inquiry handling and follow-up process, and you outsource your website promotion, you can dramatically increase the volume of inquiries you get from your website. And I strongly advise you to do that. If you want me to help you to do that quicker, then starting point, probably buy my book from Amazon, The Law Firm Growth Formula. But if you're ready to actually take action and you want more practical training videos and guidance and articles and information and step-by-step checklist of what to do, that is what Marketing for Solicitors is all about. Every 10 months of the year, there's a printed edition in the post sent out to you. There's video training guides showing you how to set up email marketing, how to set up Google AdWords, how this 4-part training series, website lead generation system, which goes into what I've done today in a lot more detail, maps it out for you completely. There's precedent letters for you to send out to your clients to make sure you get more instructions from all the clients contacting you. There's the ability to ask me questions, and there's the bonuses of 2 books that are also on Amazon: the Advertising Secrets, Success Secrets Toolkit, the Cross-Selling and Referrals Toolkit, which has 120 ways to cross-sell your legal services. Then if you go for the top package, £75 a month, you get one-on-one email support with me, you get a quarterly call with me to set your goals and make sure you stick to them, and you get critiques of your marketing activities. Now, for £75 a month, it's priced so low because the idea is that you will get the year's value in the first month. Everything after that is a bonus for you. That's why it's always been priced so low. So if you need more help, I strongly recommend joining me at Marketing for Solicitors. There's some lovely feedback from some lovely people, which you can read more about on the website. But it works. I've been doing it since 2008, and some of the clients have been with me from day one. Now, they are smart solicitors. They wouldn't keep paying me their monthly fee if it didn't work for them. So if you need more practical help, Marketing for Solicitors is the place to go. If you're looking for a slower start, the book on Amazon is not a bad place to start. But what I'd love you to do, regardless of whether you work with me any further or not, is to actually take action following today, because it's always the case that people attend courses and don't do anything about it. I keep this webinar short because I reckon you've set aside up to an hour for it. What I'd love you to do is those notes you've made, go off and action them now. Tell your web guy to make changes, make the tweaks, make your phone number linked, make sure there's a call to action at the bottom of every page, make sure there's enough content in each section. If you spend the time doing that now, then I guarantee you'll get a huge return on investment from today. If you want any more help, feel free to email me, call me, or find me at Marketing for Solicitors. Unless there's any other questions, I've reached the end of the webinar, but thank you for your time today. I really hope you found that helpful. There will be a link with a short survey asking for your feedback. If you can fill that in, I really appreciate that. It's good to know that you've got some value from it. Any questions, please do get in touch with me. Thanks for your time today. Have a lovely rest of Wednesday afternoon, and hopefully speak to you in the future.